And we are live. Welcome to the MLB Strategy Show. It is Friday, September 8th. I am Josh Engleman here to break down an 11-game MLB slate. We are brought to you by Owner's Box. We're going to talk about them later. We're going to talk about Sims. We're going to talk about last night. We're going to talk about everything, but we're going to do it quickly because we got to be out of here for the NFL Strategy Show coming up at 11 a.m. What's going on, everybody? Hope you had some success last night. I did and I didn't, which is pretty commonplace. I can't be mad about my ultimate results. My most exposed teams were the Guardians, which were not very good. We don't have... well, that's kind of a bummer. We don't have lineup study yet for this contest, so I can't look any harder. I had 3 lineups in the top 1%. If I do that every day, I consider myself fantastic at this, but unfortunately... they didn't get to where I needed them to be. I ended up finishing 32nd, 41st, and 45th. So 32nd was the best that I could get to. But, I mean, my biggest exposures just weren't very good. I had a lot of Cleveland. That didn't work out the way that I wanted it to. I had a lot of the Cardinals. That didn't work out the way that I wanted it to. And then my third team that I was heavily exposed to, at this point, I don't even remember. Guardians... You know, I had some of the Braves, and that started to help. They obviously pulled away towards the end, but I didn't have the things I needed, and I was still able to get to where I got 3 top 1%ers. That's 2% top 1% entries. That's if you can maintain that every day, you'll be very, very happy. Dave Carroll, am I beasting this solo again? I will be beasting this solo every day for the rest of the year. I won't. This is a solo show moving forward. So that's where we stand. That's where we stand. All right. I am a little behind, so I'm getting my lineups run now. That's going to take like 2 or 3 minutes. But by the time this is over, but by the time I could run this crunch, we'll be good to go. Yeah, we're going to have 11 games to break down. Feeling pretty good. Should be a fun slate. I hope you guys enjoyed the NFL side. Give me 1 second. Give me 1 second, folks. Anyway, now we're back in it. My exposures are going to be running right now. I'm going to start my sim. We can start talking a little bit about the slate, and then by the time we're done talking about this first game, we will have... we'll have some exposures to talk about. I don't think it's going to be fun to look at this morning. I think I'm going to have some pretty extreme stances, but that's fine. We'll talk about it on MLB Live Before Lock later tonight. If you're ever looking for more content, subscribe to this YouTube channel. Subscribe to our Odd Shopper YouTube channel. Subscribe to our podcast feeds. Go sign up at iTunes. Subscribe to our pod. Leave us a review and a 5-star review. You might have something coming to you if you get drawn with the best review. And Lofty and I might do something on Twitter in the next couple of days that you guys might enjoy if you're looking for a giveaway. Jordan, I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Thanks. Eric, thank you on the call for Nelson. Yeah, you worked out. Look, that's why I kind of like some of those guys. It's not like those guys just have to go crazy, but if a lot of very similar dudes are priced around the same thing, but one's not getting ownership, that's probably an interesting play in a larger field contest, and that's why I was getting to him. It's not like I thought he was going to be good, but I thought he was going to be a lot better than having 20% owned guys bookending him. All right, let's get this one started. Actually, let me grab our top stacks tool and our top pitchers tool first, dump that into the sheet, and then we can talk about everything that I have ready to go and what our site has ready to go. 2 different perspectives each morning when we do this. We get the stochastic side. We get my manual updates as well. Getting a lot of perspective here, folks. Find another place that's doing this. You're not going to find it. This is the best show that's on the market. Matt, I appreciate it. Einsteinium. It's a decent question. I'm going to touch on that one quickly. With someone like Rodon or someone like Reagans, would it be better to project them based off of this year's results? Absolutely not. And here's the reason. Because while it seems like we can predict those things, you're also going to miss in situations like this a lot. If you're able to project every single person and make those changes, you're going to come out in the wash. So those guys are generally just the exceptions, but I don't think that you can manually adjust those guys. Now, if you see someone like Cole Reagans, like Rodon hasn't had any problems with his velocity. If you see someone just immediately fall off the table, I think that points out an injury differently. But like for Rodon, all of his velocity numbers and pitch mix is the same. I don't know how to adjust someone like that. If you want to be a little bit more of a believer in someone like Cole Reagans, I think that's a little bit more viable because he has seen a change in the things that he's doing. But at the same time, any projection system is going to have some sort of mechanism set here in place. But you can't just grab individual players and throw out their past work. Otherwise, you're going to just start missing on people a lot. All right, one last second here. Figured out what my error was earlier today. All right, script is about to be done. So let me pull up my Crunch workbook so I can load it, and then we'll get started. We're going to move quickly today. We got to remember on these 11 game slates, like digging into, so that's 22 teams, digging into teams like 12 through 19 or whatever is just really unimportant. There's not a lot of context. You hit the extremes on both sides and then you call it a day. All right. Old projections are loaded. Old lineups are deleted. Refreshing the workbook. Then we get our exposures. I got a sneaky suspicion I'm going to have a lot of Dallas Keuchel. So I need to prepare myself for having to explain that, which I don't think is going to be a good thing. Lineups are in. Exposures aren't too crazy. The team that I have the most of is exactly the team I expected to have the most of. So I'm fine there. It's ugly, but we're going to get into it. So here we go. What do I think about the Lakers getting Christian Wood? It's meaningless. Meaningless. I assume Christian Wood just does the same thing that he always does. He's one of the worst defensive players in basketball. He's probably a dickhead in the back of the locker room, and this team's going to get sick of him. In a perfect world, I like his fit in a way alongside of AD, and I think that there's something there to create some offense and create some stretch. They need his shooting, but I just assume he continues to be the person that he always was, where every single team he goes to, everybody hates him. Am I doing the process here? Absolutely. All right. Okay, I don't have as much Dallas Keuchel as I thought. Way more Luis Severino, so we'll want to drink bleach for that one. But let's get into it. Phillies and Marlins. There's no way I have this projection correct, so now I need to look at something. Is Blake Snell limited today? And I didn't pay attention to it? Because there's no chance I have Blake Snell projected correctly if he's got an 11.4 fantasy point projection. Blake Snell, 13.8 outs this season. He's averaging 5 1/3 innings. There's no chance that that's right. What's Blake Snell's prop for strikeouts today? Where are they? Padres got him. Strikeout prop for Snell is around 6. Yeah, I got him at 4. Okay, so this is wrong. So I'm going to bump that up and rerun Blake Snell because I want that to be right. I'm not getting him, and I never would, but I think it's possible that I'll want to. So I'm going to rerun everything that I have here. But we can talk through it now. It's not going to make that big of a change. It's probably just going to take down a little bit of my Jordan Montgomery. But as we look at this, Christopher Sanchez going for the Phillies, 4.9 run implied total. Yuri Perez going for the Marlins, a 4.1 run implied total. Sanchez is 9% owned. Yuri Perez is 3% owned. And if you look at just the top two pitcher odds for both of these guys, we have Sanchez at 10. I have him at 6. Call it 8. You basically nail his ownership projection. I don't have much to add on Sanchez. Yuri Perez, 8,800, 3% owned. Now we have him at 10. I have him at 5. He's probably a little bit under-owned. Not a guy you need to prioritize. Not the best park in the world. Great, upside from a strikeout perspective for sure. But I don't really see this as a situation where you need to be getting to pitching in this game, not with any sort of priority, at least. All right, new lineups have been generated. Let's go ahead and run the sim, and we'll find out what we have in a couple minutes. But now, as we're talking about hitting, there's not a lot here for me. I am getting to the Phillies against Yuri Perez, so maybe we want to dig into that at least a little bit before I just move on. We have the Phillies 7th in top stack and 20th in value. So pretty expensive. Not all that surprising. Lots of 5K, 6K guys today. I have it in an interesting way. I'm lower from a rank, but higher in top stack odds for the Phillies. So I see the Phillies a lot like the site. We have them 19th in ownership with only 2% aggregate. I have 11 stacks and 6%. Most of it is going to Schwarber, Turner, Harper. I love that. But if these guys are basically 1% owned, I think the Phillies are worth a sneak stack here today. I don't think anybody's going to really disagree with that. Yuri Perez, 154x ISO to lefties, 244 to righties this season. He's thrown about 650 pitches to both arms. I like the Philly stack as a sneaky stack. If they're less than, if they're 19th, if they're anywhere below top 10 in ownership, this is going to be a pretty sneaky stack today. And I think they stand out. In this park, it looks good. If we're in Miami, it might be different. On the Miami side, they're 15th in ownership. They're actually more owned than the Phillies. Not sure I see that one at all. To me, they're a middle-of-the-pack team. They're 3% owned. I don't really have them. I like the Phillies in large field. I think that's a pretty sneaky way to go. Next up, we're going to go Yankees and Brewers. 4.6 run implied total for the Yanks, 4.3 for the Brewers. Shout out Carlos Rodon for being ass like I expected him to be yesterday. Unfortunately for me, I had 50% of him, so did the field. Luis Severino going for the Yankees. So I guess we're going to do the exact same thing that we did yesterday. What is it with Yankees pitchers and being shit? That's where the sentence ends. We just stop right there. That's the question. Colin Rea going for the Brewers. Rea is 3% owned. Decent value option here against the Yanks. This isn't like that scary of a Yankees lineup by any means. There are certainly some strikeouts here. Colin Rea is not good. He's like an average guy, but 7% top 2 pitcher odds, 15% top value. That's where I have him. Only 3% owned. I think in this game, if you just want to get away from ownership for Luis Severino, I think just pivoting to Colin Rea is a very reasonable way to go about it. But what we got to do is talk about Severino. It's basically the same conversation we had yesterday for Carlos Rodon, only Severino not regressing to the same spot, but 236 x ISO and a 16% K rate to lefties, 194 x ISO to righties with a 21% K rate. He's just been really bad this year, but he's 5,500 in this matchup against the Brewers. It's not like the Brewers have an incredible run total going in this one. So I have way more Severino, and that's going to happen. Now, I think his real ownership is about where it is. I got it implied at 19%. You can tell me it should be a little bit higher just from the value, but it is a bigger slate. But he's 17% owned. I have 39 right now. I hate it. I hate it the same way that I hated Carlos Rodon yesterday, because I think that Luis Severino just projects that. I think Luis Severino might be worse than how he projects. But at that price tag, I'm willing to eat it. I really am. So I'm going to be going to Severino as a value option. I don't care that he's getting any ownership. I do like Colin Rea as a pivot. From a hitting perspective, we have the Yankees 12th in stack score. We have the Brewers 8th. Both of these teams right around the top 10. That's exactly where we have these guys in ownership, 4 to 5% in the aggregate. I've got a little bit more of the Yankees. There's just a lot more power in the projected Yankees lineup than there is in the Brewers lineup, and they're playing at home. So they know the power of the park. That's a dumb thing to say. I don't agree with that. I probably like the Brewers more because they're on the road and they get the extra at-bats in the 9th. So I don't know what was coming out of my mouth there, but it wasn't the words that I wanted. I have 5 Yankee stacks. I have no Brewer stacks. I'm underweight to both teams. The only thing that I'm getting to with any sort of regularity here is Severino. I do have 9% Colin Rea at 3% ownership. So I'm looking at this one more from a pitching side. I understand if you want to grab Brewers bats against the ownership of Severino. But he's not good anymore, and it's kind of a bummer. It really is. It really is. Alrighty. I mean, he's been like, here's how bad he is. And Sean V saying he had 2 strong starts. Well, that's nonsense. His past 6 starts, one of them was good. But here are the XFIPs for the past 6 starts. 5.4, 1.7 against Detroit. So, read into that one how you want. 5.8, 5.1, 5.3, 5.9. 5 out of his last 6 starts have been dog balls, folks. But one of them was lucky. So, There we go, Jesse. Jesse knows. The Detroit start's an actual good start on paper, however you want to read it, but it's also the Tigers. So, adjust it in your brains. Nats and Dodgers. 4.3 run implied total for the Nats. We got Mackenzie Gore on the hill. Shout out to Wattful. 5.3 run implied total for the Dodgers, though. Emmett Sheehan going for LA. No ownership coming into Mackenzie Gore. He's 7,200, but clearly difficult matchup against the Dodgers. Meanwhile, Sheehan on the other side, 1% owned at 6,800. Both of these guys should probably be around 5. Neither one of them is a priority. We're not going to this game for any sort of pitching. But if we go for hitting, I probably want more of the Dodgers, which is not a really difficult take to get to. They're on the road. It's a hitter's park. Now, Mackenzie Gore's Mackenzie Gore. We have the Dodgers second in top stack. I have them 4th. Call it somewhere around 8% top stack odds. They are 5th in ownership at 7%. I've got 13 stacks right now. I'm a little bit over the field in aggregate ownership. Most of that is Chris Taylor in the leadoff spot if he's 3,300. We're probably not going to see Mookie Betts here today. He left early yesterday. So the Dodgers are the Dodgers. It should not be all that surprising that Freddie Freeman and Will Smith and JD Martinez and Max Muncy all look really solid in this spot. Park plays up power a little bit. I don't think that they're a overwhelming priority just because of the price tags to their core dudes, but there's enough value for the rest of it that you can fill it out. I assume as this day goes on, I end up just being neutral to the Dodgers. This doesn't strike me as the spot that I'm going to get my big stand. I'll have a little bit of the Nats, 18th in top stack, 11th in value. They're not owned. They shouldn't be. Abrams is going to be the best guy in the leadoff spot. I have 5 stacks. There's nothing to write home about here. It's Dodgers bats if you want anything. This is a game you want to mostly be quiet. Now, let's see. 3, 6, 9, 10. Okay, so technically this is probably the first spot that I should do a read. So let's do a read. Let's talk about what we've got going on for today. Hit the like button. We'll do that first. Schedule for the rest of the day. Very easy. We've got the NFL Strategy Show coming up next. That's going to be at 11 a.m. You're going to get Laffy. You're going to get Greg. And I don't know if we've talked about it anywhere on paper, but there's going to be a third guest. You want to see the start of this show. If it's been talked about already, then I'm teasing something that is already out there. But on the off chance that it's not, I'd rather tease it. Tune into the beginning of the NFL Strategy Show coming up next. And then I'll be back tonight, MLB Live Before Lock, myself, Matthew Bellman, breaking it all down, taking you up until lock. All right, what else can we do here that I need to touch on? We can keep it moving, that's for sure. We'll go to Blue Jays and Royals. Now we're getting into some talking points for me because I got a lot of this one on the hitter side. Oh my God, Sean V, did you listen to anything that was said? Anything at all? Who cares that he was 13 2/3 scoreless? Why does that? What are we talking about here? Unbelievable. 5.3 run implied total for the Blue Jays, 3.4 for the Royals. It's Yusei Kikuchi for Toronto. Colin Snyder, the opener for Kansas City, I guess. Don't play him, that's for sure. I actually haven't even looked to see who's coming in for him yet. That looks like it's going to be... Is it still Colin Snyder? Is he going to be able to go deep enough into that game? I don't really know anything about him. I didn't really dig in, if I'm being honest. Alec Marsh. Okay, so it looks like Alec Marsh is going to be the long guy per Fangraphs. Marsh last through on the 2nd, so he should be fine to go a couple innings. I'm actually going to make that change too. and switch to Marsh instead of Snyder. And we'll give him, 11 outs or something. But looks like Marsh would be the long man in this scenario. We could rerun for Marsh, because I don't know his prices or anything. I can tell you how owned I think he should be. That's a pretty easy thing to do. If we say that it's Marsh, now that is going to break some of the things here, but he's 5,800. I don't think he looks good. Jesse, very wrong at comparing him to Severino. But I'm not going to go to Marsh based on what I'm seeing. That's okay, though. We are going to have to talk about Yusei Kikuchi. 8,200. 16% chance top 2 pitcher. 13% top value. I have it very similarly. He's 34% owned. Now, I know the Royals aren't very good, but I don't see this as a spot where Yusei Kikuchi should be 34% owned. I don't know how everybody else is looking at this one, but it's not how I'm looking at it. Is he fine? Yeah, but I think Yusei Kikuchi should probably be like 20% owned. I have 13%. I'm way under the field here on Kikuchi. The price tag's fine, but like, why is he getting so much love? Is there something I'm missing here? I get it. Like, Kansas City's not great, but the strikeouts are there, I guess. Let's look at the strikeout prop for Kikuchi and see maybe I'm underrepresenting him in a big way. Where's Toronto hiding? Toronto strikeout prop on Kikuchi over under 6.5, minus 140 to the under. So I'm probably around 6. So I'm about a strikeout short right now, but I don't see the Royals lineup that I have with a lot of strikeouts in it. So I'm going to pay close attention, but Kikuchi at 34%, that's wrong. That's too high. That is very much too high of a number. Totally fine option, but not at that rate. And then obviously don't play whatever's on the opposite side for the Royals. I don't think Alec Marsh is going to be the guy that you want. Maybe he is, maybe he isn't. But I don't think that we're going to need him on a day like today. That much I feel comfortable saying. And then we got to talk bats. So we have Toronto 4th in top stack. I have Toronto tied for 7th, basically. But I'm getting there. They are 4.5% owned and that makes them 11th. I have 14 stacks and I have 8%. I love getting to Toronto, generally speaking. I don't care who's going to pitch for Kansas City. It's not like I'm going to be worried about them as a play. They're not going to be very good. And there's a lot of power here. Springer, Biggio for 2,700 looks good. Yeah, Jesse, you're right. I mean, how deep he goes into the game is going to be the answer. I try not to go too much more on a opener, on like the first guy in more than 4 innings, because you're just so, if you over adjust, you're so liable to get like those Shamanaya starts where you project him, he looks good, and then he doesn't even show up on the pitch, like I'm talking about soccer, on the field. So I just don't like, when I look at Alec Marsh, is he really all that different than Ty Block today? Am I saying that out loud? We'll get there. But anyway, the moral of the story is I think the Blue Jays look good from a power potential, and they're not all that owned at 4.5. The Blue Jays will be a team I'm over on. But I'm also over on the Royals, and part of that is just because of Kikuchi. If Kikuchi's going to get that much ownership, then I'm interested. 190x ISO to righties, like they're going to run out 9 righties. Righty power, at the very least, is neutral in Toronto. You've got power for Bobby Witt for sure, Sal Perez for sure, Nelson Velasquez for sure. I'm very interested in both of these teams. We don't have the Royals grading out well, but this is a team I'm getting to. I have 14 Royals stacks. They're 3% owned. I have 7.5. I think the Royals are a play simply against Kikuchi's ownership, and I think the Blue Jays are a play just simply because they have a lot of power. Game number 5. The Red Sox taking on the Orioles. This is my game today by a mile. I'm going to be all over this one. I'm very surprised to see the way that this one's set up. 4.9 run implied total for Boston. 5.1 for the Orioles. Tanner Houck going for the Red Sox. Kyle Bradish for the Orioles. Nobody's owning Tanner Houck rather at 7,400. And no one's owning Kyle Bradish at 9,200. I don't really see either one of those guys as guys you should have. Anywhere up to 5% for either one of them is fine. But we need to talk about bats. We have the Orioles number 1 in top stack. I have them number 2. We're separated by 0.3 of a percentage point. Orioles look great there. Value is there. They're the number 1 owned team today at 9.5 because Tanner Houck's not that great. And I get it. I have no real disagreements. I have 12 Orioles stacks. I'm neutral to the field or right about at that number with 8.5%. I think Baltimore is a team that you have to get to for sure. For sure. However, I really like the Red Sox side here. Now, Kyle Bradish doesn't get hit hard. 140x ISO to lefties, 150 to righties. Basically, in and around league average strikeout rate. He's a solid dude that just doesn't really get touched up all that much. But I'm on a completely different planet here for Boston than we are. We have him at 4.5% top stack. I got him at 7.5. I think that run total is getting slept on a little bit. If Abreu's in the leadoff spot here, he's a $2,900 outfielder. To me, he stands out a lot. Devers obviously looks good like he always does. We only have 4% ownership coming into Boston. I've got 35 Boston stacks. They're my most exposed team. That's not going to last when we get to live before lock tonight, but I'm going to be over the field on Boston by all accounts. I assume I end up like 3xing them. I want to get to the Red Sox. I think they're getting like that run total is a really key piece to pay attention to because that's showing me that they look a lot better than most of these teams, but they're not getting that kind of love ownership wise. And I think they're a much better value than we're showing too. I have a very different lineup than we do, but if $5,600 Rafael Devers is the most expensive guy in the lineup and the next most expensive guy is 4,800, I think they're a better value than 17th. For Jesse and Zach, I pull lineups from somewhere. I don't pay it. Like, it's not like I load these on my own. I grab them from a different source and pop them in my sheet. During the morning, I could not care less about what I have in there for a lineup, unless there's a guy that like I know isn't going to be playing. It's rarely a priority. All right, what are we saying now? What is this? I want to find out what we're doing here. Evan Carter. I don't even know who that is. So let's see what team he's on. Evan Carter is on the Rangers. I'm going to jump to the Rangers game since it's being talked about. He's hitting 9th, flat 2K. He is absolutely... So, Bug Boy, you're ultra wrong. If Evan Carter is hitting... You should not have Evan Carter in any cash lineup whatsoever. That is wildly incorrect. Wildly incorrect. Not even remotely close to a cash lineup. He shouldn't be... No, he's barely going to be in a GPP lineup, let alone a cash lineup. You should not be playing Evan Carter. Unless he's hitting leadoff instead of Marcus Semien, do not play Evan Carter in a cash game. Braves and Pirates. 5.5 run implied total for the Braves. 3.9 for the Pirates. Bryce Elder going for Atlanta. Mitch Keller going for the Pirates. Mitch Keller is unowned. That should not be a surprise to you guys. Don't play Mitch Keller against the Braves. The Braves are great. I have them as the number 1 stack. We have them 3rd. They clearly have a huge top stack odds. They don't have huge value odds. We all know that. We know how to project the Braves at this point. We know how good they are. They're 5th in ownership at 7%. I have 1 stack. I'm half the field. I'll have some Acuna. I'll have some Albies, but I'm just not going to get there. I certainly don't have a ton of interest targeting Mitch Keller. Not that he's great, but 148x ISO to lefties, 134 to righties. He's a really solid pitcher. This to me does not seem like the way to get to the Braves today. I don't care if he's the top prospect. It's baseball. He's hitting 9th. You know, top prospects means these are the guys we're going to think are the best, not tomorrow, but 5 years from now. I don't get to play this dude you shouldn't play in cash and take his stats from 2029 when he's a top prospect. Who cares? He's unplayable in cash. Unplayable. If you play him in cash, send me whatever cash game you're playing. Send it to me on DraftKings. I will take it to any amount if that's a guy you're playing in a cash game today. Jason Dominguez just muscles balls out of the park. And yet, he's also not good right now. We got to stop thinking like because someone's a good prospect, they're immediately the best thing in the world when they end up. It's craziness. It's craziness. Don't play Pirates bats unless you're me, by the way. Bryce Elder's getting 14% ownership. That seems about right to me. I have a little bit more, but 14% seems perfect. For the Pirates, I have 6 stacks. They're 4.5% owned. I have 4%. They're a fantastic dollar for dollar stack today. They're not a team that you want to get a lot of. That run total is pretty difficult. It's not even that I'm fired up. It's just, it's a preposterous take. There's no situation where you're ever taking him. Like, here's the easiest way to describe it. Like, Bay here for the Pirates in the leadoff spot is $3K and outfield eligible. I'd rather play $1,000 more for Bay in a cash game. He's 14% owned. He's way more likely, and you're probably not playing him either. There's so many options to go to. You would never, there's basically, the chances of taking a 9-hitter in a cash game are like 0, unless it continues to be someone like Michael Harris and they get his price wrong or something. But you're not taking 9-hitters in cash games on an 11-game slate. All you're doing is lighting your money on fire. All right, it's 10:34. I got about 20 minutes before I got to duck out of here. We got a lot of games. I've been bitching too much at chat. So it's time for us now. We got to get this out of the way so I can keep talking, because inevitably I'm going to run up against it. I don't care. I haven't heard of half of these guys. You're wrong because your analysis is wildly incorrect. It couldn't be more incorrect. I don't give a shit who I know at all. I don't need to know. I don't even need to see these idiots' names for any one of these teams. It's the most meaningless information in the world. You know what's not meaningless information, folks? Because there is something that's not meaningless at all, and that is Owner's Box, everybody. Owner's Box. They are the presenting sponsor of this show, and I'm not going to mess around here at all. We're going to talk about the main reason you should be signing up at Owner's Box using the link in the description, because you're not going to find a better deal anywhere. Let's start here. 100% deposit match bonus up to $500. Click the link in the description. Use the promo code Stochastic. You put in 500, you get 500. But you only have to put in 10. And no matter what you're depositing after you click that link, you get 1 month of our Stochastic Sims Max package. A month. Guys, that's a $200 value. You can get it if you pay $10, but I'm telling you, put in more, because you want to try to get as many entries as you can to this. And that's what I'm pulling up on the screen right now. This is the one that you're going to want, folks, because on Sunday, they're running the best contest in the industry. 200K prize pool, 50K to first, 16,000 entries available, only 1,200 in yet. This contest is going to overlay. It's going to be the best contest that you can get into anywhere on Sunday. Your biggest chance of winning money will be entering this. You can get a deposit bonus and use our sim tool for it. And at worst, it's going to cost you $10 to sign up if that's all you want to do. Try to get more entries, though. That would be a great idea. My recommendation, put in as much as you can, load up as many entries as you can, because this contest is what you want to attack on Sunday. I know I'll be in it. I hope I see you guys there too. Sign up at Owner's Box using the link in the description of this video. Bug Boy, apparently you don't understand. That's the problem here. You don't understand. Oakland righty. I don't care if it's the shittiest righty on the planet either. Rangers and A's. Time to talk about how Evan Carter is unplayable in cash. 5-run implied total for the Rangers, 3.4 for the A's. We have Jordan Montgomery going for Texas. We have Paul Blackburn going for Oakland. Ooh, I must have my updated sim done too. Boom. Let's see what we have here now. We got time, Pigeon Man. There's not as much as I like. All of the things that I like are later on or earlier in the show. So we're going to zip through this one a little bit faster. Jordan Montgomery, 21% owned. We have him 14% top 2 pitcher. I have him 25. I'm a little bit more of a believer here because I don't think Oakland's all that great. So I think he's properly owned at 21%. Right around 20 is fine for Montgomery. But this is the guy I want if I'm paying up. I like him more than I like Senga. Maybe I'll like Blake Snell a little bit more as we go along, but I don't have much there. I'm a big believer in Jordan Montgomery today. I'm not that big of a believer in Paul Blackburn. I don't really want to attack the Rangers all that much. And the Oakland, Paul Blackburn is good. He's a different guy than he had been in the past, but we don't need him at 7,600 today. Rangers bats are 3rd in ownership. I'm right with the field, or right with Stochastic. They're 5th in top stack. I have 6%. I have 8 stacks. Certainly don't mind getting to them in this hitter's park. I don't see them as a massive priority, but they do look completely fine. Maybe a little bit over-owned. Evan Carter at 2K, hitting 9th for the Rangers. A very nice price tag. Don't mind getting to him in a GPP. Probably a little over-owned at 6%, and certainly unplayable in any cash game that you are trying to play, unless it's a cash game for just the Rangers-A's game. Now, as we go to the A's side, they're 1% owned. They're dead last in top stack. I got them 21st. Don't play them. Don't play them. Play Jordan Montgomery over the A's. Yeah, as we're moving on here, I only have 23% exposure to these final 4 games. Run the sim and see. I did. I got 3% of Evan Carter. It says that he should be in the optimal lineup 3% of the time. I ran the sim. I promise this sim is better than your brain. All right, let's go to Astros and Padres. 4.6 run implied total for the Stros, 4.1 for the Pods. It's Hunter Brown going for the Astros, Blake Snell going for San Diego. Snell, 10,800 in a tough matchup against Houston. They don't strike out at all. I can't imagine. Look, does Blake Snell have the ceiling? Sure. Ultra talented. I don't want to get to Blake Snell in any way today. No ownership, which I guess is appealing. If you're going to see payups like Senga and Montgomery get 20% or Harrison get 33%, then I get going to Blake Snell. It's just not a spot that I'm going to be getting to. Similarly, Hunter Brown on the opposite side, at least he has an $8,600 price tag. He's 12% owned. He should be. He's 12% top 2 pitcher. I think he's very much properly owned at 10%. Hitting-wise, I can't imagine wanting to go to the Astros. I do have 4 stacks. That's just randomness. You don't want to target against Blake Snell. And I don't really want to target against Hunter Brown either. He's certainly fine. But we're talking about 15th in top stack, 11th in ownership. I don't really have it. You can always get to Yordan Alvarez, Alex Bregman, Kyle Tucker, Soto, Machado, all of that stuff. You can do it if you want. There are better spots. To me, this is at best Hunter Brown. This is mostly a stay away. All the talent you want in this game, feel free to get it though. Twins and Mets. 4.4 run implied total for Minnesota, 4.6 for the Mets. Dallas Keuchel for Minnesota. Kodai Senga for the Mets. This is where it gets a little for me. I've got Dallas Keuchel in 14% of my lineups. He is 2% top 2 pitcher, 16% value. I've got it a little higher than that. But these are the guys that I've been getting to a lot lately. We've talked about it on the show a lot, so this shouldn't be all that surprising. If he's 1% owned and Luis Severino is 16%, I'm just going to end up with some Dallas Keuchel in that time. I don't think he's any good. I don't think it's a good spot. I don't think any of that stuff. But if I'm rolling into a larger field contest, I think Dallas Keuchel should be like 5 to 10% owned, and he's just not. But it is very gross. Senga, on the other hand, this is a really interesting one for me. We have him 17% top 2 pitcher. I have it at 15. I think his proper ownership is somewhere in like that 10 to 15 range. He's 22% owned. Now, there are strikeouts here against Minnesota, but if I'm being honest, I am not seeing Senga as an overwhelming priority. I have 1%. Maybe that changes, but I think he's overowned at 22% here. I'm a little nervous about it. Jesse, I hope you're right. I hope you're right. I'm not a big believer. I certainly prefer Montgomery to Senga as of right now. We'll see what that ends up looking like. Mets bats are 9th in top stack. I have them 7th, so we're spot on there. 7th in ownership at 6%. They're fine. Like, clearly, facing Dallas Keuchel is usually going to be a really good thing for you. And I have a little bit, 8 stacks of the Mets, 5.5% aggregate ownership. I'm getting to Francisco Lindor for sure. But I'm going to have a little bit of this game on both sides. I'll have some Keuchel and I'll have some Mets in case it ends up wrong. I really don't expect to have the Twins just because Senga's getting the ownership. I don't want to target against him. I just don't want Senga. We also need to remember that no matter what Evan Carter does tonight, the answer is before lock, not after lock. I don't care if he hits 3 home runs today. It doesn't make him a good play. It still makes him the same play he was pre-lock, which is wrong in cash. So we don't need to victory lap anything. The thought process is already over. 2 games left, folks. Angels and Guardians. This one did not work out for me last night at all, and I had a couple spots where it could have. 4.1 run implied total for the Angels, 4.4 for the Guardians. Griffin Canning going for the Angels. I should just play the audio that I used yesterday when I thought he was pitching. Logan Allen going for Cleveland. Logan Allen, 19% owned. We have him 15% top 2 pitcher. I've got him at 20. I got 25% of him. This is a fantastic spot. Unless Ohtani gets back in the lineup, this Angels lineup is bad, and I'm not projecting him in yet. Maybe he ends up in later, but this is a really nice spot for Logan Allen. Is he a strikeout guy? No. 22% to both hands. But he doesn't really get bombed. Like, lefties don't touch him. Righties are only at a 167 X ISO. He still gets some swinging strikes. I think Logan Allen's in a really nice spot. I have the strikeout rate for the Angels projected at 27% for this game. This is a nice spot for Logan Allen. I like attacking the Angels. If Ohtani ends up in the lineup, you see the run total climb a lot. I'll probably end up with less Logan Allen. I also want Griffin Canning here. Is it a good strikeout matchup? No, but he's 8,800. He's 10 to 15% top 2 pitcher. He's 6% owned. I think he's aggressively under-owned for today, especially for what's around him. Like, I feel a little bit more comfortable going to Griffin Canning than I do Hunter Brown, especially given the ownership. I like Griffin Canning as long as that ownership maintains at 6. I think he should be more in that 12 to 15 range, and that's going to cause him to go up for me even more. I've got 18%. I don't have Angel stacks today, thank God. I've been getting them a lot. They're an incredible value. We don't have that, but it's probably because we have Ohtani in the lineup. I think they're the second best value stack if Ohtani's out. Most expensive guy in the lineup that I have in right now is $4,400 Brandon Drury. That is not an expensive lineup by all means, but it's also incredibly untalented. I have them projected for a 301 WOBA in this game. That is likely either last or second to last. So I'm not going to get to the Angels bats. I prefer the Logan Allen side. I do have a bit of the Guardians, but I'm neutral to the field. They're 6th in ownership at 6.9%. Nice. I've got 6.3% and I have 10 stacks. Most of that is Jose Ramirez. I have 14%. So I'm getting to the guys that I want to get to. But in this game, I actually like the pitching a little bit more than I like the hitting. Logan Allen feels safe, and Griffin Canning feels underrepresented. Well, guys, it's 10:47. We have about 8 minutes to go before I'm going to duck out. A reminder, NFL Strategy Show coming up next. Special guest at the start. You don't want to miss it. Let's hit the like button. Let's run that up. See if we can get to 100. And then let's close it out with the final game for today. We've got the Giants. We've got the Rockies. This one is in San Francisco. 4.8 run implied total for the Giants. Kyle Harrison on the hill at 9K. Ty Block going for the Rockies. Kyle Harrison is, as I mentioned, $9,000. We have him 14% top 2 pitcher, 7% top value, and 34% owned. Got to be honest, guys. I disagree a little bit with that ownership. Now, his strikeout prop, this guy is not projected the way that I guess I should have him projected, or he's going to go much deeper in this game. His strikeout prop is 6.5, minus 134 to the over. I've got him projected for 4.5. So I am at least 2 strikeouts low on Harrison. I'm going to need to dig into him. Do I think 34% ownership is right? No. Even if I give him a sizable bump, I'm not going to think that he should be 33% owned. But this dude is set up to get tons of strikeouts based on the betting line, something I'm going to pay attention to. I'm under on him now, and I expect to be under on him on Live Before Lock, but I'm going to have a much bigger projection on Kyle Harrison when we get there. Ty Block on the other side, if Severino's not your guy, go for it, but you're not going to feel good about it. He doesn't strike anybody out. Very much stinks. Brandon, 8+ strikeouts for Kyle Harrison right now, plus 146. 9+ is at plus 280. I'm going to have to dig into him a lot. And I'm okay with that for sure. It's a really nice spot because Colorado is bad. Very, very bad. But I don't know what Kyle Harrison's strikeout rate really is going to be. I got it at 26%. Anyway, as we talk about bats, we're certainly not playing the Rockies. Maybe there's a path to that for the ownership of Kyle Harrison, but I think you're going to find better opportunities out there. For the Giants side of this one, they're 7th in top stack. They're the number 1 value team in my metric and the site. They're 2nd in ownership, largely because of that. I'm a bit under the field. I think it's nice to target Ty Block because he's not that great, but I don't really like getting to bats in San Francisco for 2 reasons. One, I'm expecting them to pinch hit because Ty Block's a lefty. So I don't really like this lineup today. And 2, it just immediately neutralizes power. 82 park factor to righties, 87 to lefties. So this is not a spot that I'm getting to all that much. That makes me happy. I don't have much else to say here. Like, don't play Rockies anythings. So let's sum it up. My favorite plays for today. Pitching wise, it's going to be Jordan Montgomery, Logan Allen for sure. I'm going to have Bryce Elder no matter what. I'm probably going to end up with Luis Severino, and I'm going to hate myself for it. Has to happen. I expect to be light on Kyle Harrison. I expect to be light on Yusei Kikuchi. From a hitting perspective, I love Boston if you want to just be a little bit different. I think they'll be not as owned as they should be. So Boston's going to be the team I get to as my leap above the field. I do think the Phillies are ultra sneaky given their current ownership. I might bump them a little bit personally. My next most exposed teams, though, the Blue Jays, the Dodgers, the Orioles. I have no problems with any of those guys. My biggest fade right now, probably the Braves overall. I don't have much of the Padres either. Not too much to fade today because we just don't have those extreme ownership numbers. But guys, we made it. We made it to where we wanted to be. We made it through 11 games. We made it through more than early enough, even with having to dig into crazy takes like playing 9-hole rookies in a cash lineup on an 11-game slate. That's nuts. It's a fun one. So I won't be doing this tomorrow, obviously. I won't be on here Sunday, but I'll be back. MLB Strategy Show all week next week. Same time, as usual. We'll be breaking this one down every single day. Join me Monday morning. Contenders videos will always be out Monday through Friday as well. It's going to be a good time. I like this slate. The big thing to remember, though, MLB Live Before Lock. Come join myself and Matt Bellman as we break this one down from 6 to 7. NFL Strategy Show coming up next on this channel, but not on this stream. Thanks for being here, everybody. Please have a great weekend. Enjoy it. Be safe. And congratulate me Monday morning for my win today. See you guys later.